You got enough hot air in you, metaphorically of course, cut the tether, cut the tie. You've got enough already to take off, but you've got to release. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Cabin Checks. We got a pretty interesting topic for y'all today. At least I think it was interesting, or if not interesting, at the very least entertaining. But I encourage you to stick around to the end, because I really do believe that after we get past some of the funny story here, I think it's really going to free a couple of y'all up. So many of you might know, many of you don't, that I currently live in Missouri. It's not by choice, but that's where I live right now. All right, and in this office right here, I've got a window right here in the corner of my office. We're backed right up against the woods. It's really, really nice. There's a window, then there's the balcony, then there's a bunch of trees, and then right after the trees, right, we're kind of up on a hill. Down over there is a nice clearing. It's this big open field, right? Beautiful, beautiful area. And evidently, I did not know this, but evidently, in Missouri, hot air balloons are a normal thing. I'm from Alabama. I never seen anything like that. I didn't know, but apparently here, that's normal. And in this field over here, again, evidently, this is an area where people like to take off and land their hot air balloons. All right. Now, I was sitting over here the other day, again, not knowing all of this yet, and I'm sitting here doing my work, and I look out of the peripheral vision of my eye, and I look out the window, and I see a giant balloon just floating down to the sky. I got scared. I'm not going to lie to you. The first reaction was fear. I didn't know if this was, a new wartime strategy. Maybe we'll sneak in using balloons. They'll never expect it. I didn't know. But I got a little bit nervous. So I go out to my balcony and I look around, and I realize that it's just some people who are flying hot air balloons. I went outside to the front. I look up in the sky, and there's 4 or 5 of those things floating around up there. And I was amazed at this because, like I said, I'm from Alabama. Didn't come from a place that had a whole lot of money. So I was very confused because hot air balloons, just as a joyride, was not something that ever crossed my mind in 25 years of living. It never occurred to me that that was just a fun thing that people did. And so I started Googling it, started looking it up. Because when I don't understand something, I like to Google it. I like to get some more information on it. I like to find out what I can learn about it. It makes me feel a little bit better about the topic. And so I go to Google. I'm looking up information about hot air balloons. First thing I find out is that they don't have a steering wheel. Matter of fact, there is no way to steer a hot air balloon. Evidently, up in the air, the wind blows different directions depending on the altitude that you are at. So at 5,000 feet, it might be blowing this way, and at 8,000 feet, it might be blowing that way. And that's how you steer it, is you just go up and down until you catch the wind the right way, and then you float wherever you want to float. To me, that sounds like gambling, but I guess that's what these people do. The second thing that I learned about hot air balloons actually really blew my mind. And it was that when they're on the ground and they're getting ready to take off, I would just assume it's kind of like an airplane or like a jet or a rocket, right? You add thrust or propulsion, you add air, right? I'm assuming you're just kind of chilling on the ground in the little basket of death. And then you fill it up with hot air, and then after enough hot air is in there, then boom, you take off, right? You're adding something to the equation to get the result that you want. And what I discovered through this process of Googling that blew my mind so much was that the way it actually works is that they tether the hot air balloon to the ground. They drive these stakes into the ground, and they take a rope and they tie it down to the earth. And so when they fill it up with air, it's actually sitting there with more than enough hot air, with more than enough buoyancy, with more than enough lift to come off the ground. And so it's capable of flying, except it's being held back. And what they actually do to allow the hot air balloon to take off is they fill it all the way up, and then they take that rope and then they untie it, or they cut it and they untether it, and then boom, it's just free to go up into the sky. And when I was thinking about this, I couldn't help but ponder the similarities to life. I couldn't help but think about how much many of our lives emulate that process. I couldn't help but think about how many of us have everything that it takes to get where we want to go, how many of us are already capable, how many of us already have the skill set, how many of us are so full inside that we have everything that we need, And we keep trying to add more and more, and we think that more skill sets is going to be the thing that takes us to where we want to go. We think that doing more work is going to be the thing that takes us to where we want to go, when in reality, we have everything that we need already. We're just holding on to some stuff that's weighing us down. We're just tethered to some stuff that if we were to let go of it, our entire outcome would change. See, I believe that the reality of life is that everything grows naturally. Jim Rohn talks about this a lot. If you go outside and you look around and you go look at these trees that are right over here by my balcony, those trees grow naturally. You don't have to tell it to grow. It just grows. And you might say, well, how high does it grow? As high as it can grow. It grows as much as it can. It grows to its maximum potential, and it does so automatically. You don't have to tell it to grow. It just grows. It just develops. It just gets better, right? As time passes, it's just the natural course of life. And I believe that the truth of the matter is your life and your business and your relationship and your anything that you want will naturally grow and progress and get better and develop. Your job is to not do anything detrimental that will stunt the growth. What do I mean by that? Many of us want to accelerate that growth, and that's a worthwhile, noble goal. I'm a huge fan of don't be patient, don't slow down, go get it and go get it now. I'm a big believer in that. But understand that those things that you're doing, that you're adding, you're accelerating the growth, but you're not causing the growth. Growth happens automatically. You can accelerate it, but you can't just start it. What you can do is stop it. And that's where a lot of people do accidentally, right? Because the truth is, nobody has ever scored 100% in life. Like, nobody's ever made all the right decisions exactly right. They went out and made every single correct decision. They went out and got every single skill set. They went out and accelerated their growth as much as was humanly possible by any living being ever. Like, nobody's got a perfect record. So maybe don't focus all your attention on that and then get down on yourself and beat yourself up and allow your self-esteem to be affected if you feel like you didn't score 100%. Focus on just avoiding the things that will stunt your growth. Focus on avoiding the tethers that are tying you down. You probably got enough already. You got enough hot air in you, metaphorically, of course, to take off. But what's holding you down? Get rid of that, and you'll be good. So let me give you a couple of examples, right? Drugs and alcohol. How many talented people have we seen come and go who could have had it all? And they had what it took. They had the talent, they had the skill set, they had the work ethic, they had everything. They had the support system, everything. They made one wrong decision. See, they didn't need to make one more right decision. They had done enough. But they made one wrong decision, and that was enough to dismantle everything else, right? Choosing the wrong spouse, right? Maybe the wrong career path, right? Maybe dropping out of school. There's so many things that if you just don't do that, you'll be good. Like, everything else is kind of negotiable. But there's a few things that if they're weighing you down, you're never going to get to a point where you can just add your way out. Negative thought patterns, trauma responses that you have neither discovered nor dealt with. Negative limiting beliefs. This idea that the success that you want is for other people, but it isn't for you. Negative patterns of decision making. Negative patterns of interacting with others. Predisposed biases of how those certain interactions or decisions are supposed to go. You know, you're enough as you are. God didn't make a mistake when He made you. I don't want to go spiritual with this, but I'm just telling you, God didn't make a mistake. He didn't bring some broken being into existence on this earth. That's not what happened. You are either consciously, because it's keeping you close to your comfort zone, or unconsciously, because you've been programmed to do the exact same thing for so many years, holding on to something that is tethering you to the ground. And what I want you to get from this video is that you need to let it go. Cut it off. If it's a relationship, if it's a belief pattern, if it's a stubborn mentality that you've had since you were 12 years old. And that's the thing, most of these things that we're holding on to so desperately, we know that they hold us back. but we cling to it because it's what we know. I would argue that knowing that you're tethered to the ground, that knowing that you will never take off until you release some of that baggage that's weighing you down, I would argue that that is far, far, far more painful than whatever unknown success or unknown discomfort even is out there for you once you let go of that stuff. Because you're right, it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to live a certain way for 10, 20, 30 years and then completely change it. It's uncomfortable to have a pattern of thinking that you've been operating by, or a standard life principle that you've been operating by for years, and then switch it because you know it's holding you down. It's difficult to cut off that relationship that you know you shouldn't even be in anyway. It's difficult to cut off those bad habits that you know are not good or productive for you, that are not contributing to your growth, that are not making you proud in the eyes of the Lord or even your peers, that are not helping you become all that you can be. They're not helping you fulfill your potential, which is your purpose on this earth, by the way, is to become all that you can become, and to do all that you can do, and to help as many people as you can help, and to contribute as much as you can contribute. If you have some things that are keeping you from doing that, you know you need to stop it. But it's scary and it's uncomfortable. And I'm telling you, the amount of discomfort that you're going to experience on your deathbed when you sit there and you look back and you have regret over what could have been is so much worse than whatever fear of the unknown you have. Cut the tether. Cut the tie. You got enough already to lift off. You've got enough already to take off and go wherever it is that you want. But you got to release what's keeping you held down. I hope this was valuable for you. I hope you enjoyed my story about the hot air balloon that scared me. I did. I get scared easily. And if this did give you value, I hope that you will share this with somebody else that needs to hear this message. I hope that you will like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube-y things. And I sincerely hope to see you back on next week's episode of Cabin Checks.